And I'll explain. So if you look at the 20 years or 30 years of experience of doing public interest litigation and deciding matters, if I were to identify the problems, first problem is more, I mean, you talked about legislature. I think the first problem is constitutional. The subject of pollution has now been devolved to the provinces. There is no national domain to oversee the whole problem at a national level. So I think there's a huge disconnect at the federal level and the provincial level, and I think this can be resolved through something called cooperative federalism, because the federal government will have to play a role in laying down policy or standards, and then execution has to come to the provinces. So there is a bit of a disconnect as far as federal government and provincial governments are concerned, and devolution of pollution is a problematic area which needs to be addressed. But that was legislative problem. Coming on to the executive issue, I think largely what I share my experience as a judge for all these years, is that I don't think the government is interested in changing the life of an ordinary person. It is all elitist. Everything that is done is elitist to satisfy or to protect an industry or perhaps a pressure group, but an ordinary person is not in the picture. So that's what I've realized, that the ordinary person is not relevant. So air pollution, go deal with it yourself. We don't really care. Let's just go build industry. Let's do something else. I'm not saying development is bad. Development ought to have been done, should be done, but there has to be intelligent ways of doing it. So let's see how we do it. Executive is the gatekeeper to projects, right? So who controls projects? That is done by Environmental Protection Agency. It says, sorry, you can't set up this project, or you can set up this project, and there's this thing called environmental impact assessment. That's the gatekeeper. You say, sorry, this is not environmentally friendly, we don't allow you this project. But EPAs of the world are what? EPA of Pakistan is a department of the government, and it's fully captured by the government. There's a judgment called Imrana Tiwana which says there's a total regulatory capture. Do you think that EPA is going to tell the provincial government that this project we cancel, we don't allow this project to take off? Do you think that's possible? So what are we doing? I mean, we're fooling ourselves. We have an EPA that is a subservient department to the government. How could it oppose government's will and wishes? Number one. Second, have a look at the people running EPA. Who are those people? What kind of degrees do they hold in environment, in science? What do they hold? We have no clue. I mean, how they get transferred? Who's running EPA? Look at their capacity sometimes, and then you'll figure out why things are going wrong. Then let's look at our bureaucracy, and no disrespect to, we have friends there also. A secretary gets appointed as Secretary Environment. He's come from some other department for a couple of months. He has not got through any special training on environment. He has no understanding what the problem is. He's just there for a couple of months. He doesn't know when he gets transferred. What do you expect him to sit down and make a policy out of, for you on how to resolve air pollution in Punjab? Do you think he has the energy and the time and the expertise to do that? So what are we really doing? We're fooling ourselves. There's a department called Environment Department. There's an EPA. I think they don't know anything about anything, and we've seen that happen in the court. With great respect to Manik Shah Sahab sitting here, Jawad Hassan has been praising him, and I praise him too. He's been a very good officer. But I'm saying as an institution, I'm talking about a generic thing. Our institutions, our regulators have failed, and they don't have the capacity to do anything. That's the second thing. The third thing, civil society sitting right in front of me. It's dead. Where are the public interest litigation? You're going to sit at home and crib about air pollution? You're going to sit at home and talk about climate change? When have you come out to file petitions? When have you gone out protesting? Civil societies that are dead, this happens to them. See, so live with the air pollution that you have, because you haven't done much, to my mind. You should be more active. You should have come to courts, pursued cases, fight for your right. If you don't want to fight for your right, nobody's going to bother about you. So you're actually sitting at home doing nothing. So civil society is weak, regulatory functions are weak, government is not interested in people, and now coming to the judiciary. Now, judiciary, as far as environment is concerned, is a niche litigation. You know, you have some judges running this show. 3 of us sitting here, maybe 1 or 2 others. The whole corpus of judiciary doesn't know what we're talking about, frankly, because a lot of judges don't know much about the environment or the climate change, and whenever any issue arises, say, Mansoor se baat kar lena, climate ka sawal aa gaya hai, go talk to Justice Aisha, it's about climate. What is this? I mean, do you think the most serious existential threat Pakistan is facing, there can't be a more serious threat to Pakistan than climate change right now, or air pollution, and we're not bothered? And we are looking at this as a very fancy concept. So I think within the judiciary, we need to enlarge the scope. Most of our judges need to understand this, building capacity. We need to understand that this is a serious fundamental right issue, nothing to do with the environment in that sense, but a fundamental right issue which we must address. So that's the judicial function. Executive function is the major function which is lacking to my mind. There is, as I said earlier, a serious governance issue. And then coupled with a nice, relaxed civil society, good luck. Enjoy the air pollution. Thank you.